If you have said to yourself, I should write that, or if someone has said to you, you should write that, then I'm talking to you because you need to write. And that's why you're tuned in to yWrite. Hi, welcome to yWrite. I am your host, Angela Grout, and I am on a remote location. If you have been watching the show, you can obviously tell this is not my studio. I am at the intersection at Tower Square, and we are sponsored today by the Springfield Cultural Program, and they are trying to just show Springfield and show kind of everybody in Massachusetts what Tower Square is about, what the intersection is about, and more importantly, what people like me are doing. Like, I've created this show called yWrite. So they've invited us here and they're sponsoring the show today so that I can do a live show right here at Tower Square at the intersection and bring on an author who's also a friend. This is my friend Jimmy Egan, and we are here today to talk about his book. So again, you've tuned in to yWrite to find out what writers are writing, and hopefully it's going to inspire you to write your story too. So today I have Jimmy Egan here, and he is from Agawam, Massachusetts. And we've been friends since, ready for me to date us?
Yeah, go ahead.
1985.
Yeah.
He used to do some security over at Mass Mutual, and he was a detective for a while, like a little private.
Claims investigator.
Yeah, an investigator, which is really cool.
Yeah.
He's been a volunteer over at Shriners Hospital, and we're going to talk about that. And he's a firm supporter about organ donations, and we're going to talk about that because he wrote this book right here, and it's called When Life Goes On. And life does go on, no matter what we endure in life. You know, sometimes we want to take a time out and just say, pause, freeze frame, but life goes on. And Jimmy lost his daughter when she was 2.5 years old. And his book is a super honest, super concise approach to just how he coped with losing his child. And unfortunately, there are many people who have lost a child, which I don't like that. It's the wrong order. But let's talk to Jimmy today and find out why he wrote this book, because it's a really important reason why. And I think you're going to get a lot out of this episode, and I am too. So, welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome.
And thank you, Angela, for having me here today.
Thank
you.
1985.
Long time ago.
we were in school.
Yes, and then I'd see you at the flower shop.
Yes, I had the Agawam flower shop. Yeah, you come in a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you know, when we were teens, had we known we would be on a television show together talking about being authors.
Yes. Who would have thought?
Who would have ever thought we'd be authors?
Exactly.
You know, and unfortunately, you became an author because of a very grief-filled, sad moment, and that was almost 20 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
So your daughter was born in 2003.
2000. She was
2000.
born July 2000, and she passed away in April 2003.
Yeah, so
2.5.
You're over 20 years.
Yeah.
You wrote this book a couple years after she passed.
Yes.
And I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you. So much.
You know, and I know you have an angel on your shoulder.
Yes, I do. I'm on my best behavior.
Yeah, she's watching. She's watching.
Yes.
I can hear her in my ear going, I'm so proud of my dad being on the show, and I'm proud of him for writing this story, because it just stinks that, you know, when we go through something, this is why I have the shows. I want people to write their story because it helps other people.
Mm-hmm.
And you went through something that no parent should ever go through at any age. Doesn't matter how old your kid is. And the fact that you've written a book on how you coped with it. And and I don't want to, and using the word coped may be wrong, because you're coping.
Yeah, and you're still going along with getting through it.
Yeah. So when you wrote it, did you write it because you wanted to share with other people, or were you writing it for you?
I wrote it to honor Brooke, firstly, and I thought that writing the book would be getting some things out that I like to think about and talk about. But you don't do that with friends and family when a situation like this happens. So the book was a good way to do that. It was an avenue for healing, and Brooke was so special, and she loved music. She had a lot of friends at her daycare, and she was just a great...
he brought some pictures. I'm going to show this one. It's so cute. Look at all those fresh, happy faces and all those great Halloween costumes and her...
And she loved the ladybugs. She was in her ladybug outfit that Halloween.
It's so great. And that's the thing is, whether we have our child for, a minute, a day, 2 years, 20 years, when they pass away, it's hard to talk about them to other people sometimes. I mean, do you find that hard?
I do, so I don't even bring those things up because they're my personal internal thoughts. I do have therapists that I've seen, and the one I see now, Margaret Duffy, she's fabulous, and she's been so helpful for me. And I'm able to discuss a lot of these things. And then she talked about how I've had PTSD over the years, and it builds up, and I never thought of it that way. And then I moved, to Maine, and I lived on the ocean, and the ocean was comforting for me. And I lived on Revere Beach for a few years, just being by the water, but I didn't realize I was running away,
Yeah.
So that's how I was dealing with it.
Can we share how your daughter passed?
Yes, she had a metabolic condition where she couldn't utilize her stored fat for energy. And so we were going to Mass General in Boston, and we were making sure that we fed her regular, but we put her to bed the night before the day she passed, but she woke up at 2 in the morning. She was lethargic, rushed her to the hospital, and she didn't make it. And it was just shock from there. The disorder is MCAD, and I brought this card because it's so hard to pronounce. It's a medium-chain acyl coenzyme dehydrogenase disorder.
And you found this out after she passed?
Well, we knew about it, but they were working with it. But I don't think they even wanted to tell us how rare it was and that she could pass that quickly. You know? And I discovered more on it over the years. And Kim and I were both had to be genetic carriers of this.
And Kim's her mom, and I know you had a picture here. She's a beautiful woman. Look
She's
at that.
beautiful, and Brooke had mom's beautiful blue eyes. Kimberly Reardon, and she was an excellent mom. And she was actually the one, too, that brought up to me about organ donation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you donated.
We donated.
Your daughter, her name's Brooke. Brooke's organs.
Brooke Elizabeth Egan. And her heart valve was used in an infant to save that infant. And then both her corneas were used in other people for sight. And they both, Kim and her mom, had the most beautiful blue eyes. And she used to said, Daddy, Mommy and I have blue eyes and you have brown eyes.
Hey, brown eyes are the best eyes.
Yeah,
we see a lot.
Well, we like them.
Yeah. Well, and you share a lot of this in the story too. Making the decisions of do you want to donate, and I mean everything happened so quickly.
Yes.
So it's not like it's your 82-year-old grandmother who's on hospice, and you're preparing for anything.
Right.
It's like you said, you rushed her to the hospital and you didn't get to bring her home.
No, and from there it was shocking, and doing some of these things by writing the book and then the organ donation, those things helped along the way, just comforting along the way. But it's there all the time. I'm not over it, but I'm dealing.
How long did it take you to write the book?
It wasn't too long, a few months. I would go to Barnes & Noble, and, it was funny. I was just finishing what I was writing one day, and there was this mother with her daughters in there, and one of the daughters was cleaning up. She wanted to get them going, and she was singing the cleanup song. Clean up, everybody do your share. And Brooke used to sing that. She taught me that song and some other things, Dora the Explorer, but... So that day, I knew I was doing the right thing because that little girl was singing that Brooks cleanup song. Yeah.
I mean, I love when people can understand and hear the signs and messages that we do get from our loved ones. Because my own faith and my own belief is I know that they're still around, just in a different way. The fact that you only got 2.5 years with her is heartbreaking, but it's also so beautiful because you know her in such a beautiful, organic way. But the fact is, she should be almost, 23 now?
She'd be 25, 26 this July. But she's always 2.5 to me.
Yeah.
But I would wonder what she would be doing now. And I know she was smart like her mom. So she would have been, I know she would have been very successful at whatever she wanted to do. I could tell that.
Well, she's definitely a smart one. She definitely started getting you to cope with her death at an early age, motivating you to write, motivating you to get therapy, motivating you to see the blessing in the organ donation. Now, I'm going to pull this book for a second because you wrote it and then you picked out the cover, which of course I just think it's so, I mean, you have this picture right here. It's right here. And I mean, just for authors who are looking to do a book to say, how do you do a cover? I mean, it's as simple as...
Simple. Yeah. We were at my brother Mike's that day, and it was a rainy day, and she was splashing in the puddles. We were having a family gathering, and then she loved the ladybug, so those are the buggy boots.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing is that you look at this and it makes you smile. I mean, it definitely makes you smile. And like the whole ladybugs are all the good luck signs and things like that. But now this book, we use the word concise. You've even used the word concise on your back cover. It's, 64 pages?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to write a long book, everyone. If you need to tell your story, it doesn't have to be 354 pages or 180 pages. It's however long you need it to be. And in this, your chapters are short, which is nice for people to read, especially because of the topic, which can be heavy, because we carry, as we read it, we carry some of the grief that you're sharing with us, which I hope helps alleviate some of the grief, knowing that people are sharing it with you. Because even if they didn't meet your daughter, they're meeting her.
They're reading about her, and it does. Sharing her is a big thing to me, and I, you could put some different things. I put a poem in there, and just some other things and pictures in there too, and just tell what made her special to you. So if other people wrote or trying to cope with a loss like this.
Yeah. And now, did you do your own formatting for this?
I guess I did it mostly, but they put it together at a publishing place, but I never had them fully published like Amazon or anything.
Yeah, well, soon it will be. We're gonna figure this out because we need people to read this, because this book really can help others. I mean, you even talked about how it helps people to cope with losing a child, which no one wants to lose a child, but I read it and I had a miscarriage, which I mean. Is different, but it's still, you get attached to that baby and you're like, looking forward to the future. And I mean, I read this after that, and it really, opened my eyes a little bit of how to do different coping mechanisms, and just seeing what you did and how, yes, the ocean is healing and, writing is healing, some poetry, you listen to a song, when you get, if there's a certain angelic message you're receiving from your loved one, it just gives you comfort. And if and when we get that comfort, it can help.
Music's been a big thing to me too, like for helping me get through things. But there's one particular song by Tom Petty, "Wildflowers," and it's hard to listen to, but it's special. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong on a boat out at sea, far away from your troubles and worries. You belong somewhere you feel free.
Jimmy, you're a singer.
Once in a while. I used to sing karaoke a little, but yeah, that Petty song, and I always love Petty anyway, but that song is so special, meaning Brooke, and I know she's free.
Yeah, she's free. She's not suffering at all.
It's a tough world now, too.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, being whatever age we're at, it's a tough world. So, as you wrote this, and when you finished writing it, did you have to put it in a certain order? Did you write each, I know they're chapters, but each chapter kind of has its own little story.
Yeah, I did. I would go to Barnes & Noble and sit and write, and then I think I just kind of compiled everything in the notebook pad and brought it into the company, and then they took care of most of that, too. They're good at that.
Yeah. Who did you go through?
It was in West Springfield,
Marcus Printing?
Yeah. I got hit by COVID.
Listen to me, I got to think Marcus Printing.
Yeah, I got hit by COVID in 2019, and it hit me hard. Yeah. And, I had the brain fog and lost some weight, and so I'm getting back on track now and doing these things like this I can do again, but for a while I wasn't.
And in the book, and even in your real life, you've talked about your real life, not that the book's not your real life, but you've talked about how you helped out at Shriners Hospital.
Yes.
And what was it like going into Shriners and helping out there after her death?
It was special. When I lived on Revere Beach and at the Boston, I'd go into the children's out there, and I would volunteer. I'd sit and people were coming in, didn't know where they were going, I'd direct them, and and then Shriners here in Springfield, you see all the children and just volunteer over there and help. So it was good for my soul, you know, and yeah.
I mean, I almost see it as like, you know, you going in there and being able to see your own child through the other children.
Yes.
You know, and seeing that they're getting the help that she didn't get, but still there's the hope for them.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, just seeing that, you know, she's around, she's going to help somebody. You know,
and just seeing children in general in the community, just young children, makes you happy. You know, and you see, you know, how they're doing, and
yeah. And I mean, you're a fun guy. You know, you're a really fun guy.
I'm on my best behavior though.
So, you know, you've definitely honored Brooke's life by sharing who she is in this story, so that people know who she is. I mean, everyone comes to Earth with a mission. We all have a purpose. She has a purpose. You know, whether she, you know, 2.5 years, I'm hoping I get 120 years. I keep saying I'm going to live to 120.
That's a good goal.
It might be my weight, but I'm hoping it'll be my age. But, you know, it might take 120 pounds too. But, you know, it's like no matter how long we have, we're here for a purpose. There's a reason. And, you know, seeing what she taught you is wonderful. I mean, right there shows you reason. I mean, she definitely, you know, created you to be a dad, you know, and then started to be, you know, very empathetic with other people and, you know, all of that. So it's like there's so much, but, you know, even just for her to be able to unfortunately pass and give you the gift to share with someone how to cope losing a child, because life goes on. And how did you come up with your title?
Well, it's just because I knew I just had to keep moving forward, and you know, it was a tough go. There was days that really were tough, but you get through it. And I have an excellent family. You know, my siblings, my brothers, and my sister, and my parents were awesome, and they've all been helpful. And then my friends, I had a lot of good close friends that were supportive. My family, very supportive.
So I don't know if this is I want to ask this question because I think it's a hard question. But like, you know, you have nieces and nephews, and some of them are her age.
Yes.
You know, she had friends at her daycare. Like, how do you feel seeing them now?
I love seeing, I have a big family. Yeah. My sister Sue has 3 boys, and they all have kids, and my brother Mike has 3 kids, and my brother Bill has 2, and they're all having kids now. So
I know.
So wonderful, and our family's grown so big. Yeah. But it's so fun to watch them at family functions, and
because the cousins probably do not really remember her as much.
No.
You know, they know of her, and they see pictures.
The oldest Sean and David, they do. They remember, but they were young. Yeah, but they all played together.
Because I can see. I mean, my sister-in-law and I got pregnant at the same time. We were due the same week.
Oh wow!
So then, when I lost the baby, it was, you know, it's like you have that, you know, the reminder it's always going to be there. Those reminders, you know, whether it's the anniversary of Brooke's birth, or the anniversary of her death, or the anniversary of that birthday party, you know, or you see someone in the boots, and you know, if and when you get to the point where it can just make you smile with joy, you know, to be like, oh, she loved those boots, she loved that moment, I loved the day she was born, you know, it's like you have to find ways to be joyful when life goes on, because sometimes you just want it to, like I said in the beginning, come to a complete halt. It's like, how can the sun rise again? Like, what? The sun's going to still rise? No, it can't.
You're in grief and you're in shock, and it takes a while to pull out of that. Yeah. But I always do. Her birthday's July 24th, and it's a special day in the middle of summer, and, you know, it's just, I look at it like that.
And how does her mother and you are still in contact, or is she?
Somewhat. And she lives close in the community, and we've, you know, what happened? We lived on South Street in Agawam with Brooke, and after losing her, and it was a constant reminder of seeing each other, kind of, because it was tough to handle, and then so eventually we moved along our separate ways, sold the house, but you know. It was hard for her as well, dealing with this. And then you see each other, it's a constant reminder. Maybe if we had other children, it might have been different, but yeah. Yeah,
no, I see that. And, you know, talking about, you know, the book Life Goes On and coping with losing a child, or coping with the loss of a child, because you're writing this after her loss, and,
Yes.
and the things that helped you, the things that you learned, the things that you remember, the things that you want to share. I mean, in 64 pages, you got a lot in there for 64 pages.
Yeah, I hope I did.
You write very concise. It's really good. I encourage you to put it on Amazon, because I do think that, maybe it is time, it's been 20 years, that it's going to help someone else, because like I said, unfortunately, there are so many people who have suffered that kind of loss. And, when you hear how one person coped with it, sometimes you can say, hey, if they did it that way, maybe I can try it that way. And that's why I share this show, because if you wrote your book this way, maybe someone else can write that.
Yeah, and even read it and get some ideas of how to deal with things. And I never thought in my life I'd be a writer in terms of writing a book.
I know, you're an author.
Yeah.
You're an author.
Yeah, and thank you for, having me here and discussing all these things, because it brings back that good feeling.
Well, and you've had a huge career. Between doing private eye investigations, and working for Mass Mutual, and then now you're going to be a singer, I guess.
Oh.
But becoming a father evolved you into becoming a writer and becoming an author, to becoming an advocate to help other people.
Yeah.
And just the fact that we don't know what we're born to do. And,
no, we don't.
And the people we meet change us, whether it's blood or not.
Life's interesting. And when I wrote this, I was coming off, I was in the field working, doing field reports for my job. So I was sharp with all those things, where as time goes by, you kind of lose a little of that, but you need to stay on it. So this is good today.
Yeah, I'm glad you just brought that up, because that was one of my questions. Did you have writing experience?
Just in doing a good field report after visiting an insured or a case, or that you needed to do.
Right, you have to do all the details.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it, actually, because the job I loved.
Yeah, and this book definitely is like a portal into her life. So because you have that keen sense of memory, remembrance, details. So it's like, okay, we can see what you've gone through, and a lot of people are gonna see that they've gone through that too.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel a little bit like, oh, okay, I'm normal. I'm a little normal.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You need help going through these things. The more, the better.
Yeah. So now that it's coming up to her 25th birthday, what do you think she's doing in her angelic stage?
Yeah.
What'd she say to you?
Well, I know she's playing up, and they always say God needs the children up above, and I think she's just happy and singing, and and my mom joined her because she passed recently, which was hard, and she was the best mom. So Brooks, she's great, I feel her, and I talk to her all the time in my head.
Well, you know what? That's really important.
Yeah.
And the fact that you use your head to put it on paper and share it with everyone is really great.
Yeah.
And poems, I know, speak to you. And you had a couple. I just want to grab one more picture that you had shared. Because look at this is you and her.
Yeah,
look at that. I know that guy. I was a teenager with that guy.
Yeah, she's like saying, "Daddy, you're silly," or something like that.
And just like all the mementos and the things that you've saved and laminated to be able to do keepsakes, not only for yourself but even to share with others who go to grief support groups and things like that for it.
Yeah.
So until you're on Amazon, which will hopefully be soon, where can people find your book? How can they get a copy of it?
They can see you or talk to you. Or JEGAN8204 at Gmail.
Okay, so email you. All right, I'll put that in the link.
Yeah.
And they can get a nice autographed copy.
Yeah.
And, I host a lot of author showcases, so, I talked to you about maybe doing one this year, so we can have you at an author showcase and maybe even have you read a section of the book out loud.
I'd love it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure.
I really appreciate, your honesty and, you putting your heart out there, because I know it's a hard subject to talk about, but it's a subject that needs to be talked about because, she walked this earth for a reason and you created her. So now she's creating you.
Yes.
So,
and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you, the listening audience, for tuning in to yWrite and listening to Why Writers Write. Because these conversations that we have, they're real, they're honest, they're concise. And, it's like everybody who has written any kind of book, whether it's a fictional book, a fantasy book, a memoir, a biography, something that can be a how to help somebody book, it's important to do that. And, we're all here with a mission in life. And if you hear that calling to share your story, that's what you need to do. And hopefully listening to author Jimmy Egan here, you've realized that, it's not as daunting as you might think. I mean, he wrote a book, it's 64 pages. Hey, what's your story? Mm-hmm. So this is the time in the program where I give you a writing prompt. So when the show is over, I want you to turn your timer on for, maybe just like 4 or 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be a long time. And today, the prompt I'm giving you really has to do with when life goes on. Because we all have suffered some kind of loss in our life, and life has to go on. So, I want you to take that moment and think about a loss that you've had in your life. And maybe it's a person, maybe it's a job. Maybe, I hate to say, maybe you had a house fire, something that's really affected you. Think about it, because there's a time where you had to go through the adjustment stage of it, and then you had to go through the acceptance stage of it, and then you had to go through the acknowledgement stage. And there's a lot of different stages that life just keeps going on. And right now, we're in the realization stage. And the realization is that it happened, you've accepted it, and life is going on. So pick one of those stages and talk about or write down how you got through that stage, how you got through accepting it, or how you got through adjusting your life to whatever the change is. Share it on a piece of paper, because you know what? It can heal you, but it might just heal someone else too. So thank you for tuning into this remote broadcast of yWrite. We are here at the intersection at Tower Square in Springfield, Massachusetts. And we have been sponsored by the Springfield Cultural Program, and we are so thankful to them to let our program be aired. And if you're an author and you're looking to get your book out there and you want to share your story, contact me. So thanks so much for tuning into yWrite. Subscribe to the podcast, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.